Hey everybody, welcome to On the Floor with Dzoe Ahmed. Today I am joined by the incredible person who has been doing amazing work. He's got over 500 episodes of podcasts. That sounds so big. I mean, it's crazy. His name is Eric Cole. He is the founder of Hang Up Podcast, which is available on Spotify and other podcast streaming platforms. Eric, what's up?
Hey, it's so nice to be here. What's up to On the Floor listeners?
Yay.
Yes, I have, and just a little correction. I have about 5 seasons, but it's about 250 episodes.
Okay, so 5 seasons.
Yeah,
So how big is the season? How many episodes does it have?
For each season?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh. I had one season where I had over 20 episodes. I'm a little ridiculous. There's no rhyme or reason to that part of it. And the podcast has been great. And since April, I'm now in this terrestrial radio world.
Yes.
Here in Philadelphia, WURD 96.1 FM. So it's been a really interesting but fun transition from podcasting to radio. I don't feel like I've left podcasting. Obviously, I'm here. Thanks for your gracious invitation. I don't think I've left podcasting, but I'm definitely focused on the radio project right now, which has been great.
How is the radio treating you?
It's first I want to say, it's really a blessing, and I'm grateful to be in a space, and I'm grateful to say that, as a queer identifying individual, that I'm a co-host of a radio show here in Philadelphia. There's not a lot of us in radio that own the space. We usually, they'll bring us on for hot topics,
Yes.
we're playing the role, but very not too often do we see ourselves in these spaces. So I'm really grateful for that. And we just this Saturday, Angelica Ross was our most recent guest on the show, so she'll be there this Saturday, and so it's just amazing to be in these spaces. Yeah, it's amazing to be in these spaces, and it's just a blessing. But it doesn't go without, I think, what it is important for all of us, including, you and this beautiful platform that you've been working so hard to put together, and that's doing amazing. That we all, when we stand in these spaces, it looks great, and we have to, talk about the beautiful things, but we have to also be honest about the struggles and the things that we go through, particularly as queer individuals in these spaces. It's not easy. It's not easy.
So how did you start your career on radio?
So honestly, my career in radio started on April 27th of this year. So I'm very new and fresh to radio.
Yes.
But I feel like definitely like podcasting helped give me that foundation.
Right.
There's not a whole lot of difference between the two, except, you're on radio, you're broadcasting, there's commercials. It is a little different. You have, we have rules and regulations, like we can't curse. There's certain kind of music we can't play. Like, it is different. And, but it's very new. This space has been very new for me. But I've been a radio fan. Thank you. I've been a radio fan, though. Since Wendy Williams was on radio back in the day. Like I've loved radio all my life.
Right. So do you think are you looking forward to transition to television?
So I would love that, honestly. I think I need some PR, honestly. If anybody listens. I did have a YouTube show I have 2 seasons of, so what I did was I did a spinoff of my podcast with a licensed therapist. His name is Tony Purnell. He's here in Philadelphia. I did a spinoff of the podcast called Hung Up Pod Live, and it's on YouTube, and we have 2 seasons up. And we had some really incredible people on there. I think the interview that stands out to me right away is the Candace Dillard from Real Housewives of Potomac. That was an amazing interview. We had a chance to sit down with folks like her. And so it gave me a little exposure because coming from podcasts, I wasn't used to the lights, camera, action. So it did give me a little bit of exposure, you know, being on YouTube and being out there, but it's not enough. I would love to. I definitely have the mind. I could act. I could do voiceovers. I have a very creative mind like that, where I can just go wherever I need to go, wherever you tell me I need to go.
You go, darling. I like that. You know, I have seen people with transition from podcasts into big screens, into movie scenes. So I feel there's a little bit of exposure, but the PR is important. I think it's so hard for really to find PR, right? Looking around sustainability and the cause, and you're starting the podcast in your room, and you're building the community as you grow. So I just
Absolutely.
with the followers or the listeners or on the floor, what has been your biggest lesson from your journey in transitioning from podcasts into radio?
Ooh. You know, and let me make sure I'm pronouncing your first name. Is the D silent?
No, it's Dzoe.
Dzoe. Dzoe.
Say as if you want to meditate and just breathe in, out, and say Dzoe.
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 Ooh, ooh, it's giving ASMR. I love it. Okay, wait. Dzoe. I want to say the D with the Z. I want to do it phonetically. It's the English. I'm terrible. I know.
My name is very hard. It's Dzoe. Dzoe.
Dzoe.
Something like that. Yeah. Something like that. Yes, but most of the Americans call me Zoe because I think that's easier.
Yeah.
I've learned to really embrace that. Even people back home in Africa, some people, they can't pronounce my name. So it's something that is common to me. So I'm like, okay, you can call me Dzoe Ahmed.
Dzoe Ahmed.
Yes.
You're okay with Dzoe. And you heard the listeners, they said they're okay with Dzoe, so I'm going to say Dzoe. You should do ASMR like YouTube video where you just keep repeating your name over and over and tap the mic with your nails. Yeah.
And breathe in.
Yeah. And every time someone messes up the pronunciation of your name, you send them that video.
Oh my God, that's wild. Definitely, that's a good recommendation. I love.
Yes. Okay. Dzoe said to breathe in, into calm. Okay, let's get back. Let me get back on track here.
Right. We got that.
So I believe your question was, what was one of my biggest lessons in the transition?
Yes, from as a podcast content creator. I don't know if yes, I think podcast still falls under content creation into radio. Yes.
Yeah. The biggest lesson, there were many. I would say that one of the biggest lessons is, you know, patience also requires you to sometimes accept your blessing, accept your moment in a package that doesn't always look how you originally thought it would look.
Right.
You know, I think we spend, especially as creators, spend so much time and effort and energy obsessing over our destinies and what we want our content to be and what we want it to look like and the guests we want to have and the platforms that we want to build and the places we want to go. We have the boards, the inspiration boards. We've been planning this. We've been, all of our lives for some of us, right? Yes. And sometimes when you have a moment or an opportunity presented in front of you, we can sometimes miss it. By the way, I'm a life coach. That's why I talk like this. This is
yes, I love that because it's about mastering, the difference between mastering and success, right? And the
wonderful
reason
person.
why I named it because you're a life coach, so you're just coaching and mentoring us today. And some of the lessons that the listeners and myself would gain. So
Absolutely. And I'm gaining as well from being here. So this is definitely an exchange. So I do appreciate it. But yes, sometimes we're so focused on what we've built that when the moment or an opportunity has presented itself, we can miss it. We can look right past it. Or we could deem it not worthy of our time, or it could just look so foreign that we say, no, this isn't it. And so this one of the big lessons has been, patience requires me to still show up even when it isn't necessarily how I thought it all, how it was going to be and how I planned it. And I'm a Capricorn, so we're very things like that really matter for us.
yeah,
Structure, a foundation, a path, a vision, all of those things. And really, sometimes something can happen, a decision can be made, you can be impacted by something that could make you go, oh, you know what, I'm done. No, this is not it. But sometimes it's right there at that moment that the lesson was needed for you to like kind of cross over and to push through to the other side to get to where you need to get. Because the universe, when we say what we want, the universe immediately starts to work. It hears what we want and it starts to move and put things into place. And or sometimes we shed people, places, or things in
wow,
order to be able to get to that next step. But even with that, the shedding of people can be so traumatic that it can make us pause from moving forward in our journey. Some of us, we couldn't imagine not being able to move to LA with our homegirl. Some of us, we couldn't imagine going to New York and doing a movie without the person that you started with back in Florida. And, some of us have lost friendships along this journey because people see you different and you start to shed things. And so we have to be strong and be willing to move forward despite because these challenges will come. Angelica Ross said to us last night, congratulations on your new challenges.
Oh yes,
you get what I'm saying though? Yeah.
Wow, that's so inspiring. And I am listening to you, I feel goosebumps. I'm like, oh my God, you're speaking to me. You're feeding me the energy. But like you said, it can be scary. Sometimes patience requires dedication. And the part of dedication means you have to sacrifice. And when you sacrifice, you don't know if you're going to make it or you don't. And that space in between the fear of unknown and knowing that you'll make it because you have hope, right? It's one of the things that has been carrying us. But then we have this fear that is holding us. How can we find ways to overcome fear, like dealing with fear and anxiety?
Oh my gosh. Things that we all encounter, and so many, and sometimes it's layered, right? I think one of the ways that helps me is breathing through the stories. Like I watch the triumphs of people in the most unimaginable circumstances. And the fact that they're able to find hope and continue to forge a path forward. It's stories like that touch me. I'm such an empathetic person. I feel like I feel everything. I feel like I do, and that right there allows me to just make me pull myself out of my situation and know that this is all just, it's bigger. It's bigger than this moment right now. This too shall pass. This moment shall pass. And it's like looking at the miracles outside in the world that have happened in the past and that are currently happening gives me hope that they will continue to happen.
Absolutely. And I like it when you say breathe through the stories. and you can breathe through the storm as well as we are navigating our work or our daily life.
Yes.
There's something that you said earlier on, based on the series that you've produced. You said you've produced about 5 seasons, and that process, you never thought that it would lead you to radio, but the opportunity presented itself. If maybe you can share a little bit around reputation, repeating the process and building yourself. So reputation and repeating the processes towards success or towards mastering.
Yeah. Oh, which I think is so amazing. When you sent me that mastering versus success, I said, "Oh, this is really good. This is good.
Right.
This is good." It's interesting. The last question you asked about fear, we all encounter it. I do too, because I've been podcasting since 2017, and when this opportunity presented itself in April of this year, guess what? I was scared.
Oh.
I was scared. I didn't know if I was going to completely just drop the ball. I didn't know if the listeners would be open and accepting, because Kai and I, we're too queer, and Kai is very we're both butch queens. We both identify like it's giving butch queen energy over here, but he's definitely more femme leaning, and we're two Black queer men at this one of four nationally historic one of four nationally Black owned radio stations today. There's only four in the US, and I'm at one. This is a Philly audience. Hello, hey Philly. This is a Philly audience. And we can, Philly, we I love us. We can be a little tough. So I was nervous about a lot of things. Friendship suffered. There was support lacking, where I thought I was going to get support from some people and I didn't. So there was a lot of things happening at that moment that created a moment of fear, a moment of second guessing myself, a moment of, am I really ready for this? And I'm really just grateful to have one of the beautiful things about community and why community is so important is because we're all human. We're gonna need that shoulder to cry on. We're gonna need someone to lean into. We're gonna need someone to, when we look and we're like, girl, I'm actually scared right now and I don't know what to do. We need someone to turn to, judge us, that's going to embrace us and pour into.
Hi,
can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. You had a moment.
I think we're back. Okay.
You had a moment of being. I'm like, okay. I thought maybe you were breathing in the stove. That's wild.
Yes.
I love that. And
that's it right there.
Yes. For the opportunity, sometimes opportunity, they questions our capabilities, because we are told that we are not good enough. Our voice is not worth to contribute towards a social change. And being entrusted with such platform, it can be scary. And so, do you think the podcast prepared you for this opportunity?
I do. I do. It gave me, in a way that it gave me the tools to be able, because it's going to be new challenges.
Yes.
Right. New challenges. There, I've experienced new challenges, and there's going to be more that I haven't dealt with. So the podcast didn't give me the answer to every challenge, but it absolutely gave me the tools to be able to produce, because I actually am not only am I the co-host for the radio show, I produce it as well. That is, yes, that is a heavy lift. That is a really heavy lift. And so the podcast, prepared me to produce. It prepared me to be able to be okay with some people are not going to like you. Some people are not going to like what you do. Some people are not going to, they're just not going to like it.
Yes, that's it. That's the truth.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. So yeah,
so
I would definitely say yes. It prepared me for a lot, for sure.
right. So what type of mindset do you put on a daily basis, or do you align yourself in ordering to achieve your goals, or the things that keeps you going? What are the do's that keeps you moving and keeps you inspired, keeps you motivated?
Ooh. Starting my mornings how I want and ending my days how I want. And I want everybody listening to hear
Mhm.
that.
May you repeat it?
Starting my day how I want and ending my day how I want is very important to me. I'm checking my little fur babies right here. I'm just making sure he's good. That is
Right.
very important. Yes, I have a dog, yeah.
That's good.
Thank you. Because the whole day is spent doing what everybody. We're pulled in a million directions. Our job wants us here. Our we're supposed to be over here. Our family is calling. Our friends are calling and need things. We're having to show up at places. We have content to create. Many of us have multiple jobs. Many of us have children. We have a family. We have if it's not children, you may have a parent or an uncle or a niece or a nephew, someone that you love. So I think it's really important that, if I'm going to give everyone the bigger part of my time every day, days that I don't even know it's promised to me. When I go to sleep tonight, I don't know if I'm going to wake up tomorrow. So it's very important to me that I give myself that time back. And we all you figure it out what it is for you. For me, and it ebbs and flows, so it changes. Right now, in the mornings, it's very I need my news podcast,
Yes.
and I need my cup of coffee.
Yes.
I need to be outside. I need a moment outside to just have the sun, feel the sun. My dog, he does his thing, and then we can start the day. At night, I need to decompress. I need to shower. I need to moisturize, and then I need to pull out a book. It's very important for me to the phone down. Stop looking at social media, Eric. This is what I tell myself. This is what I tell myself. Like, put the phone down. Stop looking at social media. Turn the notifications off and pick up a book. And that's really important for me because before I close my eyes, before I rest, I'm able to completely disconnect from my day and really kind of take myself to wherever the book is, wherever the land, wherever the world, wherever's, the book. I still feel like it's very nostalgic for me because I feel like a kid when I do this, that I can kind of like go somewhere else for a little while. That's really important for me.
Right. So I love that. You know what I do is I show up with the best interest of myself in everything that I do. I think I start the day with the gratitude prayer. I'm a church girl. The God will say when I was church, when I was ja. Like, and I'm a street girl is when when I was in Bambino or something like that. But I try to give myself a morning prayer and write my devotion and check in with my family because my family is miles away. We are 6-8 hours different. So every morning after I'm done praying, I check in with my mother because she's worried to say, "Hey, are you still up?" And so that becomes now my daily routine. After that, I shower. Right as I'm taking a shower, dressing up, I'm listening to a podcast or I'm listening to church songs. I hit the way to work and then come back home, rest a little bit, do something on my laptop. And as the day goes down, I'm winding down for bed. So I think that gives me a sense of motivation. So yesterday I was talking to my friend. He was asking me, why are you so motivated? I was like, I'm motivated because I don't have anyone to rely on. Does it make sense?
It does.
I am my own cheerleader, so I have to with the mass.
If no
So
one else does it, you're like, I'm the only person. If I don't do it, nobody's going to do
do it, then no one will do it for me. So I might as well start, you know,
it.
I might as well start somewhere.
Yes.
So just to touch base on your future, what can you say, or what are some of the tools can you really share with the listeners around future-oriented tools that can help us in building future in a more sustainable way?
Find your tribe, for sure.
Ah.
Find your tribe. Once you determine like what your passions are,
Mm-hmm.
which is mastering, right?
Yes. Yes.
Uh, success is kind of like those benchmarks that you set. It's
Yeah.
things that happen at a moment that lets you know that you're on the path that you have envisioned and manifested for yourself. Find your tribe. Find your tribe. I see so many, especially content creators, are frustrated that like no one's engaging with my content. I'm putting all this content out there and no one's engaging. Like, and I get it. I know what that's like to spend hours putting a video together. You get 2 or 3 likes, you know?
Yeah.
Find your tribe. Find where you can be nurtured and go to those places. And I had, the Surface Level podcast come on not too long ago on the radio show, and Damon, he had a message to the content creators. He said, sometimes your close friends and your family are not your audience. Don't get so stuck on what your close friends and your family aren't, how they're not engaging with your content. Just think of it like you're creating your own little globe. When Dzoe, when you get on this microphone, you get on this platform, it's like it's your globe, it's your world. And everything that's happening in it, the ecosystem, and how communities are exchanging, and how information is being presented, and how we're communicating. That is all that's your world that you're creating. And that is how I think, we should all kind of engage in this, is that you're creating a whole new world, because it's really going to be the strangers, the people you never met, like you, who are going to contact you, email you, and say, hey, I would love to work with you. And like I said in the beginning, you don't want to be so caught off guard that when these opportunities are presented, that you don't see the benefit or the light in it. Looking forward into the future, don't obsess over it, because it's not promised. What's promised, the only thing that's real right now is this moment. And so pour into this moment. Take inventory of that's another really, I think, another quality of someone who can master something, is that you're able to take inventory of your current situation, not the future, not what you want it to be, and not obsessing over the past, our mistakes, and how we were broken, and what we didn't do. But it's about being able to look at your current situation and be in your situation and take inventory and proceed and proceed that way.
When you're talking about taking inventory, it reminds me of the psychology term around are you vulnerable? Are you able to take accountability of how you feel? Are your emotions determine how you interact with other people? I've seen certain people, they've lost meaningful connection because they were emotional at that present time, or they were grumpy, and which leads me to, I think this one is very psychological question for you as the life coach. How important is expressing emotion? And because nowadays we live in a world, for you to get a job, you need to have a PR, you need to have a connection there. So we live in a world of networking that creates us opportunities that are a financial backup, right? So how important is expressing emotion in that regard?
Oh, this is tough.
What? It doesn't have
I think well, you're right. It doesn't have to be, and you're
Yeah.
absolutely right. Thank you for that affirmation because you're absolutely right. I think expressing emotion is valid up until the point where we're harming ourselves or we're harming the
Mm,
person that's in front of us or the people that we love or that we care the most about. Because then I think it gets a little selfish, where it becomes more about me, and how I feel versus
huh.
how am I impacting the space that I'm in. I think
Yeah.
that's true. I think that's true accountability and also self-awareness. So
Yeah.
self-awareness is important. So I think it's still important even when we're expressing emotion.
Mm,
And expressing emotion is important, but self-awareness and knowing how we're impacting a person, how we're impacting an environment is really important. I think it's just mature to always keep that in mind and not let our emotions get the best of us because they can. They
mm,
can. I mean, the most extreme and unfortunate result of acting on emotion without really consciously and critically thinking it through. I mean, we could go down to any jail and just talk to the people. Most people are
yes.
who are in prison or serving, hard or serious time for a crime. It's they acted in a moment. It was a moment.
Yes.
These people don't have a lifetime of, criminal activity, and many of them do, but a lot of them don't, and they're there because they responded in
To them.
emotion in a moment, and that actually goes to show how powerful how powerful our emotions can be. That
Right.
it can be, even though it's a moment and as fleeting as a moment can be, it can be life altering. It could be
Yeah.
life changing. And so these are the things that we want to take count when we want to, especially we just mentioned taking inventory. These are the type of things that we want to consider
Mm,
when we're thinking about expressing emotion.
yes. Oh my God. I'm out of words. So taking any emotion, like living in a moment, right, can contribute to a long-term impact, either good or bad, right? Oh wow.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
It
Absolutely.
leads me to another question around healing. How can we heal from trauma, or either it's generational trauma or trauma that we've been dealing with? How can we heal so that we show up with the best interest of ourselves?
Yeah. I think a part of that healing process is understanding, and I mentioned it before, is that there's going to be a process of shedding. There's a process of shedding people, places, and things that do not serve your purpose and where you're going.
Yes,
Once we put it out there into the universe, what we want and what we ask for, the universe is or our God or whoever we, you know, however people look up to. I know we have a diverse listener group here.
yes,
Um, I think things start working. And so the healing process also, I think, requires community. I think it requires a professional at times. I mean, some people, can lean in different kind of ways. I know as a life coach, I often have to remind people that I'm not a therapist.
yes,
That is not my wheelhouse, and that that professional therapy or sometimes psychotherapy. Sometimes we need to go to people with degrees to
yes.
work through the trauma. Especially you mentioned breaking generational curses. I don't know
Mhm.
about y'all, but I definitely was on someone's couch when I was going through that process of trying to break generational curses and also being a queer man. I needed that professional assistance. And I think that's also that radical acknowledgement of it's okay to say I need help. It's okay to say, I don't got this. It's okay to say, I don't know what to do. I don't know what the answers are. I think healing requires that vulnerability. You mentioned that word a few moments ago. Healing just requires so much. But above all, it requires dedication. dedication to the process of healing. It's not going to be a linear process. It's going to be up and down. We're gonna have successes, because what we're trying to do is master something, right? Healing is mastering. Trying to break generational curses is mastering. And so we're going to have successes, but we're also going to have failures along this process. And it's really, you know, being able to see the joy in all of it, and that it's helping you get to that end goal, whatever that end goal is for you.
Right. So, guys, if you're listening, you can seek help if you feel you need help, or you can create a community that you feel supported, that you feel seen or heard. So we are continuing with the conversation with Eric Cole. Your last name is Cole, right?
Yes.
Yay! I thought I was like, oh my God, I don't want to butcher your last name, but thank you. I really appreciate that. Healing is in the different forms. It depends what are you healing of. Either you have fear or you have anxiety. There are some medical procedures or there are some medical requirements if you feel you need help towards your healing. So we are talking about mastering, the difference between mastering and success. So Eric, how can someone grow in their career? How can you grow, for example, as a podcaster or as a content creator, to say, growth is something, it's like it's moving, right? It's an emotion. How can you feel like you're in a phase of growth?
Yeah. So I think, and just, you know, and speaking of how important it is to be vulnerable, I'll be vulnerable. You know, one of the things that I didn't do that I will give a suggestion that I'm learning now is showing up broken. It's okay to show up where everything's not so perfect. You know, it's okay if the audio is bad, or if, you know, your wig is a little shifted off, or if the lighting isn't all like that, you know, in the beginning, or, you know what I mean? Like, it's okay to show up imperfect. See, I don't know about y'all. I don't know about the listeners, but, you know, I grew up in a household where, you know, I really wasn't allowed to be, you can't step out of line. Like, I had a very strict, my father was very strict.
Yes.
He had very strict rules. There wasn't a whole lot of expression. There wasn't a whole lot of tell me how you're feeling, or, you know, emotions. It was like, no, I had to show up and always live up to these standards that my father kept very, very high for me throughout my entire life. And what that did was that when I became a content creator, it made me think that that's also like, I just naturally, that's how I showed up. Every video had to be perfect. The sound had to be perfect. The script had to be perfect. I couldn't do any bloopers. I couldn't show up crying. I couldn't show up angry. I couldn't show up broken. I couldn't show up confused. And I couldn't show up and just tell the listeners, I don't know what to talk about today, y'all. I'm stressed out. You know, like,
you're right.
You know what I'm saying? I thought that I had to be so perfect and pristine. And what happens is, like, you know, sometimes people, you know, they really connect with the authenticity of the individual. And that's really how you grow. If you're trying to grow your audience and you're trying to grow your listenership, you really just have to be authentic. Show up as you, and because those broken pieces, those challenges, those frustrating moments, those days where the hair is a little crazy, trust me, a lot of people watching are going to connect with you on so many different levels. And it's really the connection that's going to grow your platform. People are not going to always agree with everything that you say.
Yeah.
You know, I've done over 250 podcast episodes. I am sure that anyone listening could go back to any one of those episodes and hear something that I said and maybe disagree with it. But it's more about getting someone to invest in who you are as a person, who you are as an individual, the light that you bring to the community, and how you're contributing in that way. You don't have to be right all the time. We don't have to agree all the time. That's not the point. So I think as a content creator, when you kind of lead from that point, it'll really help. I think that's some advice that I got later on in my content creator career that I wish that I would have gotten a lot earlier. Yeah.
But I think we always talk about like showing up even if you're broken. And I have my other friend, she does a vlog, is her content. She most focused on vlogging. And she took some time to take a rest. She said, "Oh, I am not feeling well to be on camera." And I said, sometimes, because I started making videos, I said, I feel the same, but I feel in the phase where we are in, where we say we've got nothing to give, that's the time we should give, because we can share. If we're feeling sad, we can share that I feel sad, I feel I'm broken, I am down, I am depressed. Things are just falling apart. My week is not weeking. Things are just, everything is a mess. And there are people who are going through that phase who want to see people online experiencing what they're going through, right? Because when we show up online, we show up so perfect that sometimes it's even hard to connect with people, because then, oh my God, her life is perfect, his life is perfect. Oh, I need someone to just look it up to.
Yeah.
So I think showing up is important. I think that's the best we can give to ourselves, is showing up irregardlessly.
Yeah, because honestly, for some of us, we're trying to figure out why we don't have support. Well, it might be because people don't think you need it. If you show up so well put together and so everything is so packaged, maybe the message that you're giving off is that you don't need that support. So
absolutely,
I loved how you put that. Let's show up and be authentic, and people will pour into us in the ways that we need, for sure.
Yes. So I think when we're talking around showing up, may you share a little bit around the contribution of anger and love to the work that you do?
Repeat that question.
Showing up around anger and love in the work that you do. It's either in the work, some things that have frustrated you, and the things that have nurtured in terms of the love that you put.
Well, I'll start with the positive first.
Positive.
Yes, I always like to start positive. So one thing that I've loved, and you're just saying in general in this content creation space, it's coming. I'm getting the name.
Yes.
I know the quote. I'm just trying to think of the name of the person. Okay. I'll just say I got it from Angelica Ross. Has a podcast called No Opportunity Wasted. And I got this quote from there. Who are we without, she said, I'm paraphrasing. It was something like, who are we without community? Like who really are we without community? And I would never want to find out the answer to that. And I think that is one of the things that I've loved about this, is that, before my father remarried, I was the only kid. I come from, I'm a country boy. I grew up in Southern Maryland. And my dad didn't know what to do with a queer child.
Right.
He still loved me. And he supported me. But there was really no guidance for me as a queer individual. So I feel like some of us call it chosen family. Without like growing into like chosen family and finding community, I don't know where I would be. I today. Would I be alive? I don't know. So that is one community, being able to build community in this space. It's great to, land these big interviews. It was amazing. I couldn't believe we were talking to Angelica Ross. Miss Candy from Pose. Like,
that's a milestone.
It's a milestone, but it was bigger than that. In that moment, I realized so right away that it was like, it's bigger than it's Angelica Ross. It was like, we're in community, and Angelica is pouring into us in a way I need to be listening. I need to be listening to these gems. Like, yes, I'm gagging that Angelica Ross is here, but I can't gag, so I can't miss the moment. You know what I mean? So
yes,
building community and being in community saves lives. It has saved my life. It has saved lives of a lot of people that I know. So that is one of the things that I've loved. One of the things that have frustrated me is okay, I'll say this. And kind of we talked about it on our radio show
right.
back in April. I think this was April or May that we had this conversation. Because we did an unpacking. The name of this radio show is called Unpacking. So we're always, everything is we're unpacking. So we were unpacking Philly Black Pride, which is here in Philly. It's the last weekend in April. And we talked about all the beautiful moments. And we also talked about where we need some growth, because you know, it was things like the opening reception. It was things like, you know, the brunch, these things that, you know, folks from our community poured so much time, effort, and money into that were not well attended. But the Jocks and Socks party, the line was down the street. You know, folks, you know, I don't know if you're familiar with Deviant, but Deviant threw a Jocks and Socks party as a part of Philly Black Pride. And of course, like, we're going to have, like, come on, Pride is very much about the turn up, but it's also about that community work. It's also about that reinvestment, right? And I think that sometimes we're missing that piece. We have people in our community all over who are pouring in all different types of ways, who are, you know, running libraries, who are in the street, on the pavement, marching. Malachi, my co-host for my radio show, you like him, you have people who are out in the street, you know, giving folks, you know, tests for HIV and making sure you have prep and other resources, like literally out on the street and in the community. We have people who are trying to find our missing queer children and teens and adolescents. We have so many people who are pouring in the community in a way. It can't always just be at the bar. We can't always meet down at the bar and at the club. I want to see us also nurturing and pouring into these other spaces.
Ooh, I like that. I think
and it's not that we're not. I want to make sure I'm making that clear. It's not that we're not. I just want to see heavier numbers.
Visualizing how, when you say that, and that's a similar issue around the LGBTI in general, back home. The conversation that we always have is, let's meet outside the bar and create something meaningful within the community. The communities we exist, right? So I think it's about growing and creating that growth within the community beyond the bar, right?
Yes.
I like that.
Yes.
Interesting.
Yes, because these establishments need, like here in Philadelphia, the William Way Center has an archive. You know, from back in the early 1900s, like literally notes and diaries where, you know, lovers were passing notes to each other because that was the only way that they could talk. Like, we have historical archives and museums and libraries and things like that that are not going to survive if we're not supporting these things. And so I think it's important that we support, because we don't want our story to die. We don't want our history to die, because look, what was true and certain is that the other side, they could care less. They could care less if our history was just erased off the block. So if we're the only ones that are going to be able to keep it alive and continue to pass down these stories, pass down these traditions, we have to be the voice of that.
And I must say, I'm glad that you are in a Black-owned radio station to create the momentum for Black communities and continue documenting, continue sharing stories to create visibilities for queer Black people. You know, I think we really need our stories to be heard. We need archive information, research, documentation, documentaries. And I'll tell you about the pause, right? You were talking about Angelica Rose. So So when pause came, so in my country, you're not allowed to be LGBTI. So you get criminalized if you are openly LGBTI people. And when pause came out, I was working for the organization called TREAT, which is a trans research education organization, which works around trans narratives, creating information, offering HIV testing for trans bodies. So we had a screening because we're renting a small house. So we had a screening view for pause where trans bodies, they gathered, we watched pause. It was heartbreaking because the experiences of pause is what happens back home. So for me, I was like, oh my God, the pause scenario, it happened around 90s, right? The interpretation was something like that. But it's the similar thing that happens back home in the current situation. And that movie brought me into tears because I was like, oh my God, our stories, this was the first time to see our stories being portrayed on television.
That
globally. And
hold that. I'm sorry, my computer. Hold that thought because my battery is literally about to die, and I don't want this to cut off. Hold on 1 second. I'm so sorry.
I can do my name and say, hey everybody, I am Surya. Are you plugged? Are you plugged now?
Okay. I was nervous because it was about to shut off. I said, no, not in the middle of this beautiful thought. Okay, please finish. So
yeah, so I was just so that series really brought a shift within the community, and that stories are just being seen now, and it gives us a sense of hope to understand the struggles and the successes of that movie, and how we go back doors to get injection to affirm ourselves as trans, all of that stories and the side effects of the drugs that we're taking so that we can be affirmed. And I'm like, wow. So I think
go ahead.
Sorry. Go ahead. Yes. I think we need that. I'm here in America. I think we need so much documentation of Black lives, Black queer bodies being documented, being seen, and being interpreted in a meaningful way that people can relate. Earlier on we were talking about authenticity around showing up. I think those stories that really are for people, they have to show up even if they're broken, So.
We that right there, and I hope your listeners, I hope y'all taking notes because I know I am. It's that part about showing up when we're broken, because a lot of us are broken.
Yeah,
a lot of us are broken, and I also love you said we have to continue telling our stories, and I'm just going to add on to that, especially right now, because there is a intentional effort in this country,
right,
by the conservative and the extreme right wing party to decriminalize us here.
Yeah.
And not only that, to marriage, our history, they don't want it taught, they don't want it in textbooks, they're doing so much to try to further disenfranchise. I mean, we were already, disenfranchised. We were already at the bottom, but there's an effort to eliminate our bodies, eliminate our brilliance and the light that we bring into this world. And so we have to continue, and we have to be strong, and we really have to be strong.
And we have to be healed. I think our communities need healing,
Yeah.
and we can
Growth.
only start by accepting the way we are at and finding ways and solutions to really move into a more progressive, into a more healed space so that we can build the communities.
Yeah, and I would love to see that on like a larger level, like not necessarily, you know how churches, kind of congregate a lot
Yeah.
of people in a room and in a space, and we can kind of be on one accord. I would
Mhm.
love to see us doing more things like that, because when we talk about we need healing, we do, but we also have to acknowledge the barriers to healing, the
Yeah.
barriers to access, particularly for Black and
My
Brown people,
love
particularly
it.
for queer people, you know? And
Mhm.
so while many of us may not be able to afford that weekly copay, while
Yeah.
many of us may not have insurance or have or have a car to be able to get to where we need to go, I think if we start focusing more on community oriented
Mhm.
healing and coming together and finding, because the resources are here. We got the doctors, we got the lawyers, we have the congressmen, we have the congresswoman, we have the resources here. And I
Mhm.
think we just gotta start coming together on more a concerted effort, a more they are. The other side is that they're meeting, they're coming
Yeah.
together. January 6th didn't just happen off a whim. Okay.
Yes.
The girls were planning for a long time. And so we have to come together. We have to start planning for our lives and for our futures, and planning for, we have to make our demands, and I think we're starting to see a shift somewhat here in America, especially with, people are fed up with this two-party system, Democrat, Republican, because it doesn't work. Democrats and Republicans argue across the aisles and nothing ever gets done, and people are sick and tired of it. People are tired of having to quote unquote vote between the lesser of two evils. We want to vote for our lives. We want to vote for our sustainability. We want to vote for our children's safety.
And
Like,
their generation.
yeah, like people are really starting to get fed up, and I think this young generation, that's coming in right now, that's in college, or just that age group, not just in college, just that age group, they're fed up.
Mm.
They're, they're going to court and divorcing their parents for being racist.
Yeah.
They're fed up.
Oh.
And they're letting the world know, and our politicians know what they won't and continue to allow. And that stands on the shoulders of our Martin Luther Kings and our Malcolm X's and our, all our people who have come, Fanny, all our people who have come before us. We stand on their shoulders. Marsha P. Johnson, just all the, so many people who are no longer here. We
Mm.
are able to do the things that we do and organize the way that we are because those people sacrificed, and a lot of those folks left with a broken heart.
Yes.
A
And
broken heart.
hard. So I think the future is in our hands to really determine how we want to see change. And like you said, access can be a very challenge for our community. The
Yeah.
resources are there, but access to create change, right?
Yeah, because getting there is half the battle, right?
Mhm.
Paying the copay, finding the insurance, finding the doctor, getting there is half the battle. Once you get there, we need physicians and practitioners and clinicians to look past our Black skin and give
Mm.
us a diagnosis.
Yeah.
Listen to what our concerns are. When we say something hurts, don't just think, "Oh no, girl, you good." Like
We-
when we get in the treatment facility, we need people who are going to actually like see us as human beings.
Mhm.
um so it's that access part is difficult for us, especially for our trans brothers and sisters.
Mm. Wow. this conversation, I am emotional for some reason, but I think it's good, right? Conversation should be meaningful, should be really bring in emotions because we are people.
Yes.
We touch
And you are amazing at this. You are really. I'm waiting for your show, prime time. I'm gonna go ahead and put that out into the universe. Like, you are just, not only are you just beautiful, your smile can just light up a room. You, the questions are just, you were doing these questions like we need to get you on a set, lights, camera, action. You were really doing
ready. I am ready. I should come to Philadelphia.
Come on, yes, come on.
Yes, I'm looking to feel everybody.
But I followed you back, and I'm going to be watching and be along for the journey.
Thank you so much, Eric. It's been humbling experience to really you responding to my DM. Sometimes I take chances and to say, let me just reach out, eyes closed, because I don't know the expectation. But thank you so much for really engaging and responding to the DMs and us setting this date. It's been a pleasure having you.
Likewise, and I would love to anytime you want me back. Or I would love, we could go live. We could go live on Instagram anytime you want to.
Absolutely. I would love to. We can schedule some live and we go, we kick it.
Yeah, and talk to the people. Absolutely. I love your energy. And again, thank you so much for taking all the time to reach out and have me here. Thank you. And it was really great talking to your listeners. Thank you.
Thank you. So, guys, you can follow Eric at Hang Up Podcast. It's Hang Up like you
hung up. Hung up.
Oh my God, pronunciation. Like hang. I love it. So we are having fun here. So you can check him out and do follow him on Instagram. If you want to get in touch with him at personal, you can follow up him at Eden. Is that how what's your personal Instagram?
Oh, so my personal is Dante Cole, EDANTECOLE, but it's in my if you go to Hung Up Pod, y'all, which is HUNGUPPOD, that's all in my bio. Like, it's all connected right there.
Yes. And of course, you can follow us on the floor with Dzoe Ahmed. Thank you so much, guys. It's been a pleasure spending time with you. See you in the next podcast.
See you guys.
Bye. Don't forget to so
love it. See you.
Ciao.